Hello and welcome to another video from the Fantasy Legion. Right, this is an interesting one, Sean. I want your advice, really.
Yep.
Is there any merit to, drafting a quarterback early? Patrick Mahomes has got an ADP of 23, Lamar Jackson 28. Will they return the fantasy value I need? Considering what I'll have to sacrifice to go and get one of them.
Yeah. Okay. A couple of provisos. The first thing, we'll just keep this to 4-point touchdowns, and it's one QB league, so it's nice and simple. Yeah, there is, but it's your biggest risk. If you get it right, you will reap a reward. If you get it wrong, and there's a very high chance of getting this wrong, because we know what happens from year to year with quarterbacks. That's why all the experts are all over it, and they are right about waiting. You get a double loss. You lose not only on the quarterback production because you didn't get the right guy, but you also end up losing a player because you can never replace them, and unless your league is very small. So it's a big risk. There is merit to it. I mean, if I had to pick one of those two guys out for this year to produce, I'll explain why I'm picking him out, and I'll explain why I'm not picking the other one out for this year at their ADP. If I was taking a risk, and it is a huge risk, I would take Patrick Mahomes. Technically, it could be my third pick, but more than likely it's going to be my second, realistically. If I'm taking that risk, the reason I'm taking it is because I believe that he's going to get me 40-plus touchdowns. He's going to give me 4 to 5 on the ground, and he's going to be sort of 4.5 to 5,000 yards. I have to believe that to go all in. The statistical advantage he'll give me is about 80 to 100 fantasy points over the majority of the owners out there. There'll be maybe 2 or 3, if I'm right, that will keep tabs with me. The rest I will destroy if I'm right with that prediction. There is a huge problem with this, though, because when I take him at that ADP, I lose out on potentially a very high caliber running back. I might lose out on a Melvin Gordon, or I might lose out on a Chris Carson or another player that falls into that, ADP or somebody I want to grab.
Well, let's have a look who the running backs are around there. Sorry to disrupt up your flow, but
so it massively.
So you're looking at Kenyon Drake,
yeah.
Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, them sort of players you'd have to give up.
Well, I take all of those. I'll be honest, I take all of those here over the quarterback every time, because
there's a right price where you might jump in if you were going
now. If Patrick Mahomes for whatever reason fell towards the end of the second or early third, then absolutely I would quite comfortably go chips all in on him here, because I've already stabilised the top end of my draft board quite comfortably. But he's in that kind of horrible Everest, for one of the better word, that danger zone of low altitude where one mistake and it's fatal. And that's what I feel this is here. And that's probably him calling me now, actually. I always get calls at this time, don't I? So I'm a little bit I can see the logic. I can totally see the logic. It is the biggest gamble you'll ever have, but your sacrifice is huge. What I've learned from this over the years is when I've got it right, people say, it's really weird. When you go for something like this and you get it right, people say you're lucky, right? Which is really weird when you've really gone for it and you've really analysed the draft board. So I tend to go all in. If I go after a player, I go all in, because then it's no fluke. That's how I look at it. If I'm going all in, I might as well go all in one way or the other, risk or everything. I would much prefer to take all the risk on Kenyon Drake this year than I would Patrick Mahomes. I just think it's actually safer in a weird way. Whereas Patrick Mahomes, if anything happens, he got injured last year as an example. If anything was to happen, it's easier to replace a quarterback, strangely, than it is a running back. It's so much easier. So I just think it's too difficult. However, to flip side of it, why I'm not so keen on Lamar Jackson's price is simply because I think that teams, like we spelled out, if you haven't seen it, go watch the videos we've done on quarterbacks. But it's just teams will corral him this year. They will put him in a box that's, not a traditional spy system. They'll use what Tennessee gave as the blueprint. They'll try to corral him, force him into an area where, he'll get the odd run here and there. Of course he will. He's Lamar Jackson. He'll make some big plays. Of course he will. They're a great team. But they want to try and contain him into certain areas of the field to make their defense stronger.
But can they do it?
That's what. Well, we'll find out. It's a very, very good team that hasn't got really many weaknesses. But I don't think, again, I don't want to pay on last year's price. So I don't want to pay for either of them, if I'm
You've got to
honest.
find a new
I think,
Lamar Jackson. That's the key.
yeah, well, I was hoping it was going to be Kyler Murray, but his, unfortunately, the system.
ADP
Yeah,
disappeared.
ADP killed that all off. Now you're looking at players deeper down, old veterans that are probably better value than than they were. Maybe a
They're
Brady.
not really dual threats like he is. The
No.
thing is, the other thing I've got to say is, I think it depends what format. If you're playing in standard, you're kind of getting Lamar Jackson's a running back and a quarterback. If you're playing in PPR, then other sort of skilled players like wide receivers, running backs are worth more because they get points per reception. So it devalues the quarterback in a way. Lamar Jackson is a bigger dual threat than Mahomes. Mahomes much better thrower, but you're getting a lot more with Jackson, and you've seen he can put up big numbers. Whether he could repeat it again, like you say, difficult to know. But
the thing is the way I look at it.
Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. He's probably the best player in the league. He's the most exciting player in the league.
Well, and they know that, and they tied him into a big contract. So all the stars have aligned for him, and I personally think what will happen to Lamar Jackson is it will be where we'll see the biggest, because he wasn't necessarily. Let's be honest. If we assess the tape on him, they're a very good team all round. They've got a good defense. They've got a good line. They've got a good, a great running game. Some very up and coming and interesting wide receivers. A good tight end that really fits the system very well. So the players fit their system very well. But he wasn't necessarily, if we're honest, the most accurate with the ball. He made most of his points on the ground, as you say, and I think that's where it will change for him. Because at best, I've got him for this year. I still believe he's going to finish in that top 3, 4, 5. I can't see him not, unless he got injured, and we can't predict that for him. But I could see him finishing with about 320 fantasy points, which is very good. Second, maybe third, maybe 300. But that's a huge degrade from last year. And that will be because the corral will slow the running game down quite significantly. I don't think we'll see those numbers again. And the logic of this is spelled out with all great runners. I mean, Michael Vick and various others that have come in that did this stuff, and other running backs. It's very difficult to replicate. I realise there's only one Lamar Jackson. I appreciate that. But the NFL is a copycat culture, and once somebody's got onto you, they make you have to change. You have to find a new way of making it work for you, and maybe they can because they're a great team. But I just think we've got to be logical and sort of say you've got to see some impact of a corral, and it's got to be in the running game. So I'm not really a buyer of either, but if I wanted to go chips all in, and I want to take a risk with one draft, particularly a redraft league, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And I'll be honest, watch this space, because maybe I might take one risk this year because I just want a team to be different, just to see. But I don't want to risk a lot of money on it. So I wouldn't want it in a big league because I don't want to waste my money. So I might take it in a small league where there's not so much at stake, $30, $40, 40 quid maybe. Okay, I can take a risk there. But I don't want to do it in a big league.
Kind of...
tell you everything.
Question, you're not
absolutely
to risk it. So it's not really a good idea.
No, I mean it's a real shot. That's what I say about it at the beginning. It's a real shot. There is logic to it, but you have to be right. And I can't sit here with confidence, and I'm a confident person, and say that is definitively going to happen. I believe Patrick Mahomes can do that this year. What I've just said, those numbers are realistic. They can be done, but what if I wait and I get a quarterback that just gives 40 or 50 less fantasy points than him, and I've managed to get another running back?
Let's throw this up as a hypothetical, right? You've drafted Christian McCaffrey number 1.
Yep.
You've got to the end of the second round on the bounce back, and Mahomes or Jackson's there. And then on the third round, you pick up someone like Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, Mark Ingram, somebody can put up big points.
Yeah.
And then you can draft somebody like... in the fourth round, you can back someone like Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore.
Well, this is where the small leagues can definitively work. 10 or 12 team leagues, I think, is where it can work, because
let me say this to you, see if you like it, right?
Yeah.
So Christian McCaffrey.
Well, you've got to like it.
Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'd be very happy with that.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I'd be delighted.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, be over the moon with this team.
Stefan Diggs.
I'd feel that I'm going to go
and then
close.
AJ Green.
Yeah, I can live with the risk at that point. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
could
what
live
a
with that.
team! What a team
Yeah.
potentially on paper that could be.
In small leagues, it could work, but you have to balance that risk out. In the 14 teams and 16 team leagues, this isn't going to work.
You have to go for it, mate. You have to go for it. That team, McCaffrey, that team's going to be unstoppable.
Listen, I'll always go for it.
I've pretty much won the league already. I haven't even drafted yet, and that's my team.
I'll always take a risk, but it's just I know where I want my risk to be, and it's not quite there yet.
No, I agree. I'm a big fan of tight end and quarterback late.
Yeah, I've got plans for what I want to do with those this year. I have a really good plan around them I feel comfortable with, particularly in the bigger leagues where there's big money up for stakes. But when it comes to, some smaller hometown leagues, then yeah, sure. If players aren't that, solid as you at drafting, then, you can use this to your advantage, definitely. But in this situation against good players, I don't want to put myself on the back foot before we start the season.
No, it's tricky if you go down that route, I think. Okay,
you have
very
to get
interesting video. Thanks for your thoughts, Sean.
Thanks for the question.
It's certainly interesting as usual. We'd like to hear your thoughts. Are you tempted to draft a quarterback early? Do any of them tempt you in? Drafting Mahomes is very, very appealing.
Tempting. Yeah, it is tempting.
I don't think you can do it, guys. But if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more. And thank you to Sean for your comments as always.
Thanks, Al.